Floyd Mayweather built his entire career on one thing: never losing. 50 fights, 50 wins, not a single blemish on his record. The man was untouchable inside the ring for over 2 decades. He made hundreds of millions of dollars doing it. He flaunted every single penny. The cars, the watches, the private jets, the stacks of cash fanned out on Instagram like wallpaper. Money Mayweather, that was the brand. But a new nickname is rolling around in town. No Money Mayweather. We'll dive deeper into Manny Pacquiao's rematch later on, and the signs that are bringing Mr. Money some big trouble. Right now, in 2026, that brand is cracking. Because No Money Mayweather, the man who once called himself the greatest of all time, the man who built a financial empire on the back of boxing, is in serious trouble. Not inside the ring. Outside of it. In boardrooms, in courtrooms, and in the court of public opinion. And the story of how he got here is one of the most fascinating financial collapses in sports history. Here's what's happening. Floyd signed a contract to fight Manny Pacquiao in a rematch. A real fight. A professional bout. Contracted for the Sphere in Las Vegas, scheduled for September 19th. Netflix got behind it. Manny Pacquiao's team was ready. The whole world was watching. And then Floyd Mayweather opened his mouth and called it an exhibition. That one word, exhibition, set off a chain reaction that has put Floyd in the crosshairs of a legal battle that could cost him everything he has left. And given what we know about his finances right now, that might not be as much as you think. Let's start with the contract itself, because this is where everything begins. According to Jazz Matha, the CEO of Manny Pacquiao Promotions, the fight between Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao was contracted as a professional fight. Not an exhibition, a real fight. That's not speculation, that's not a rumor. That's what the CEO of Pacquiao's promotional company said publicly, on record. And Manny Pacquiao himself made it crystal clear. He said, and I'm quoting directly here, "I signed for a real fight. He got his advance. There's no reason for excuses." Read that again. He got his advance. That's the part that changes everything. Because Floyd Mayweather didn't just sign a contract for a real professional fight. He took money up front. A cash advance on his purse, before the fight even happened, before a single punch was thrown, before a single ticket was sold. Floyd Mayweather had already pocketed a portion of his payment. And then he turned around and called it an exhibition. Now, you might be thinking, maybe there was a miscommunication. Maybe someone on Floyd's team got confused. Maybe the paperwork got mixed up somewhere along the way. That's possible, right? These things happen in boxing. Promoters miscommunicate. Contracts get misread. It's a messy business. But here's the problem with that theory. Wade Plemons, who broke a significant portion of this story, laid it out simply. He said there are only 2 explanations for what's happening here. Either somebody made a massive mistake in communication, or Floyd Mayweather is trying to scam Netflix. Those are the only 2 options. And when you look at Floyd's history, one of those options starts to look a lot more likely than the other. Because this isn't the first time Floyd has pulled something like this. Wade Plemons was very specific about this. He pointed to Floyd's track record with exhibition fights after his professional career ended. The pattern is consistent. Floyd would agree to fight someone. He'd take advances, he'd show up late to promotional obligations, or not show up at all. He'd create chaos around the event, and then he'd still get paid. Look at the Deji fight. Wade Plemons was actually there. He said Floyd demanded an insane amount of money, or he wasn't going to fight Deji while he was already at the venue. They wanted to change gloves. They wanted to change terms. And according to Plemons, they paid Floyd to do it. Floyd got what he wanted, right there at the venue, hours before the fight. And then there's the Logan Paul situation. Floyd shopped his fight to a different company after essentially scamming the original promoters. He took their money, their promotional work, their infrastructure, and then moved the fight elsewhere. Mike Coppinger, one of the most respected boxing journalists in the business, reported on the Pacquiao situation and said it plainly. Floyd's comments about the fight being an exhibition directly contradicted Netflix's official announcement. And if Floyd insists on treating it as an exhibition when he signed a contract for a professional fight, he would be in breach of contract. Breach of contract with Netflix, one of the most powerful entertainment companies on the planet. This is not a mom-and-pop operation, as Jazz Matha himself pointed out. These contracts are buttoned up. These are not amateur promoters who can be pushed around. This is Netflix, and Netflix does not lose. Now here's where the story gets even more interesting. Because the question everyone is asking is, why? Why would Floyd Mayweather, a man who has made hundreds of millions of dollars in boxing, risk a legal battle with Netflix over the word exhibition? Why would he take a cash advance, sign a professional fight contract, and then try to reframe the entire thing as something casual and non-competitive? The answer, according to almost every analyst who has weighed in on this, comes down to two things: his record and his money. Let's talk about the record first. Floyd Mayweather is 50-0. That record is everything to him. It's his identity. It's his legacy. It's the thing he talks about more than anything else. And a real professional fight against Manny Pacquiao, a man who has been training, who has motivation, who has something to prove, is a genuine risk to that record. Chael Sonnen addressed this directly. He said Floyd has to fight right now. He wants to fight. But the framing matters enormously to Floyd. If it's an exhibition and Floyd loses, it doesn't count. The record stays clean, the legacy stays intact. But if it's a professional fight and Floyd loses, even at this stage of his career, that 50-0 becomes 51. And for Floyd Mayweather, that might be the one thing he cannot live with. Wade Plemons put it even more bluntly. He said Floyd has done this for years, taken advances, undermined the promotion of his own fights, created confusion around the terms, specifically to protect his 50-0 record while still making money. It's a calculated move. Take the cash. Create chaos. If the fight falls apart, you still got paid. If it happens on your terms, you're protected. But this time, the other side isn't a small promoter or a YouTube star. This time, it's Netflix. And that changes the calculus entirely. Now let's talk about the money, because this is where the story gets genuinely dark. For years, Floyd Mayweather presented himself as the ultimate example of financial success. He called himself Money Mayweather. He posted pictures of himself surrounded by stacks of cash. He wore watches that cost more than most people's houses. He traveled on private jets. He owned multiple properties. He was the living, breathing embodiment of what it looked like to be rich. But behind that image, the reality was very different. Jason Whitlock was direct about it. He said Floyd Mayweather is an example of what he called living for the culture, prioritizing image over financial security, spending extravagantly in Las Vegas, chasing a lifestyle and a public persona at the expense of actual wealth management. And now, at this stage of his career, the bill is coming due. The signs have been there for a while. Floyd has been foreclosing on multiple properties. He's been losing money on investments. He's been buying depreciating assets, things that go down in value the moment you purchase them. Cars, jewelry, things that look impressive on Instagram but don't generate returns. And then there's the gambling. Floyd's gambling habits were never a secret. He posted his betting tickets publicly, large bets, consistent bets, the kind of bets that, over time, can drain even a massive fortune. Chael Sonnen said it plainly. Floyd is a gambling addict. He has child support obligations. He has baby mamas. He has the financial pressures that come with the lifestyle he chose to live. And nobody taught him how to manage any of it. Sonnen made a point that's worth sitting with. He said, "Who taught Floyd about contracts? Who taught him about saving? Who taught him about investments? The answer is nobody. Floyd grew up in a boxing town. He knew what he knew. He knew what he was taught. And what he was taught was how to fight, not how to build generational wealth. Max Kellerman echoed this. He said even athletes earning millions can face instability if they overspend and neglect smart investments. Huge paydays don't guarantee security. Without planning, without the right people around you, without financial literacy, you can end up broke no matter how much you made. And Floyd's situation, Kellerman said, serves as a warning. Teddy Atlas was more emotional about it. He said it's always sad to hear about athletes losing what they worked so hard for. He mentioned Joe Louis as an example, one of the greatest fighters who ever lived, who died broke. And he said the same story plays out over and over again because these athletes don't have the right people around them. Some don't listen, but the sharks in the business are always circling, and Floyd has been suing people. He sued Showtime for $300 million. That lawsuit is out there. That's not a small claim. That's not a minor dispute. That's a $300 million lawsuit against one of the biggest sports broadcasting companies in the world. And when a man who made hundreds of millions of dollars in his career is suing his former broadcast partner for $300 million, it tells you something about the gap between the public image and the private reality. Joe Rogan weighed in on the broader picture. He pointed out that Floyd dominated American boxing for over a decade. The 2015 fight against Manny Pacquiao was the richest fight of its era. Approximately 4 million pay-per-view buys. The biggest pay-per-view in boxing history at that time. Floyd made an extraordinary amount of money from that fight alone. And yet here we are. The analysts who have been watching Floyd's financial situation closely have pointed to something specific: his properties. Multiple homes, multiple mortgages. And according to the reporting, somebody keeps selling his mortgages. He probably has 12 homes and 36 different people holding his mortgages. That's not a sign of financial stability. That's a sign of financial chaos. And that, more than anything else, is why Floyd Mayweather is back. Why he's fighting again at this stage of his career. Why he signed a contract with Netflix. Why he took a cash advance before the fight was even confirmed. Because he needs the money. Now, not everyone sees this as purely a financial crisis. Paulie Malignaggi offered a different perspective, and it's worth considering. Paulie suggested that Floyd might actually be using the exhibition versus real fight controversy as a deliberate marketing strategy. By sparking debate, by getting people talking, by creating a polarizing topic of conversation, Floyd keeps the fight in the headlines. More controversy means more attention. More attention means more people watching. More people watching means more pay-per-view revenue. And Paulie made a fair point. Floyd has to know the terms he agreed to. You don't sign a contract and not know what's in it. Not at Floyd's level. Not with his experience. So maybe, Paulie suggested, this is all theater. Maybe Floyd is playing the villain, creating noise, and planning to eventually agree to the professional fight on his terms, with maximum public interest already built up. It's a compelling theory, and it's very Floyd Mayweather. The man has always understood that controversy sells. He built his entire career on being the guy people wanted to see lose. As 50 Cent once said about Floyd, people don't watch Floyd fight to see how amazing he is. They watch for the opportunity to see him lose. And Floyd knows that. He's always known that. He turned the hatred into profit for decades. But here's the difference between then and now. Back then, Floyd was in control. He was the one setting the terms. He was the one choosing his opponents, choosing his timing, choosing his narrative. Now he's in a contract dispute with Netflix. He's in a situation where the other side has lawyers, has leverage, and has the receipts. The cash advance is documented. The contract is documented. The public statements are documented. Floyd can create all the controversy he wants. But at the end of the day, he signed a contract for a professional fight, took money up front, and then publicly called it an exhibition. That's not a marketing strategy. That's a legal problem. Let's talk about what this means for Manny Pacquiao, because he's been largely overlooked in this conversation. Manny Pacquiao is not coming into this rematch as a passive participant. He wants this fight. He wants it badly. The first fight, back in 2015, was the biggest pay-per-view in boxing history, and Pacquiao fought it with a torn rotator cuff. A bum shoulder, as Joe Rogan put it. He was compromised going in, and he still gave Floyd a competitive fight. He's carried that with him ever since. This rematch is personal for Pacquiao. It's about legacy. It's about getting a clean shot at the man who beat him when he wasn't at full strength. And when Floyd started calling it an exhibition, Pacquiao's response was immediate and unambiguous. He said, "I want to do a real fight." He signed what I signed. He signed a real fight, and he got his advance. So there's no reason to make excuses. That's a man who is not interested in games. That's a man who has been waiting for this rematch for years. And that's a man whose promotional team, led by Jazz Matha, is not going to let Floyd walk away from this contract without consequences. The legal machinery is already in motion. Jazz Matha made it clear that Floyd has to cure the breach. He has to provide notice that he's willing to fulfill the terms of the contract. And if he doesn't, the next steps will follow. They weren't at liberty to disclose every detail, but the message was clear. This is not going away. And then there's Netflix. Netflix getting involved in boxing was already a massive statement. This is a company that has billions of subscribers worldwide. When they put their name behind a fight, they're not doing it casually. They're doing it because they believe it's going to be a massive event. They're doing it because they believe the audience is there. And they're doing it because they have a contract that says this is a professional fight. When Floyd started calling it an exhibition, Netflix's official announcement directly contradicted him. Mike Coppinger pointed this out. Netflix said professional fight. Floyd said exhibition. Those two things cannot both be true. And the contract, the signed, documented, legally binding contract, says professional fight. Now, the title of this video references Netflix dropping a lawsuit. And here's what we know from the reporting. The legal dispute is real. The breach of contract risk is real. The documentation is real. What happens next in the courts is still unfolding. But what's not in dispute is this. Floyd Mayweather took money from a deal he is now trying to reframe. And the people on the other side of that deal are not going to let it slide. Chris Algieri, who reacted to the situation publicly, put it simply. Floyd has to remember what he signed. He has to remember the terms. He has to cure the breach. And if he doesn't, the next steps are coming. Here's the thing about Floyd Mayweather that makes this story so compelling and so tragic at the same time. This is a man of extraordinary talent, generational talent, the kind of defensive genius that comes along once in a lifetime. His footwork, his timing, his ability to make elite fighters look ordinary. It was genuinely remarkable. Joe Rogan acknowledged it. He said Floyd changed the whole thing. He knew what he was doing. He was a brilliant counterpuncher who retained his skills longer than almost anyone in the sport. And the 2015 fight against Pacquiao, whatever you think about the outcome, whatever you think about the shoulder, was the biggest fight in boxing history at that time. 4 million pay-per-view buys, an extraordinary amount of money generated. Floyd was at the center of it all. But talent and financial intelligence are two completely different things. And Floyd, for all his genius inside the ring, made decisions outside of it that have led him to this moment. The gambling, the spending, the depreciating assets, the lawsuits, the properties with multiple mortgages, the cash advances taken before fights are confirmed, the pattern of behavior that Wade Plemons described. Taking money, creating chaos, protecting the record at all costs. It's a pattern that worked for a long time. Until it didn't. Chael Sonnen said something that cuts right to the heart of this. He said, "Is Floyd Mayweather broke?" And his answer was essentially yes, of course he is. Not because Floyd is uniquely irresponsible, but because this is what happens to boxers. This is the pattern. Taxes, child support, promoters taking their cut, bad investments, overspending, no support system, no financial education, no one in your corner teaching you how to turn a boxing career into generational wealth. He said, "What boxer do you know that isn't broke?" And he's not wrong. The history of boxing is littered with champions who made fortunes and died with nothing. Joe Louis, Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield. The list goes on. Floyd watched all of them. He talked about all of them. He said he was different. He said he was smarter. He said he was Money Mayweather. And maybe he believed it. Maybe he genuinely thought the image was the reality. Maybe the gap between what he projected and what was actually in his accounts was something he never fully confronted. Because when you're Floyd Mayweather, when you're surrounded by people who tell you what you want to hear, when you're posting pictures of cash and everyone is treating you like a god, it's easy to lose track of what's real. But reality has a way of catching up. And right now, reality is catching up to Floyd Mayweather in the form of a Netflix contract, a Pacquiao team that wants answers, a cash advance that's already been spent, and a legal situation that is not going away. Max Kellerman framed it as a cautionary tale, and that's exactly what it is. Here is a man who earned more money from boxing than almost anyone in the history of the sport. Here is a man who had every opportunity to build something lasting. And instead, he built a brand. He built an image. He built a persona called Money Mayweather that required constant feeding, constant spending, constant flexing, constant performance of wealth, until the performance became more important than the reality. And now, at this stage of his career, he's back in the ring. Not because he loves boxing, not because he has something to prove athletically, but because he needs the money, because the properties are being foreclosed, because the mortgages are being sold, because the lawsuits are piling up, because the gambling debts don't pay themselves, because the lifestyle he built requires a level of income that his current financial situation cannot support. And the one asset he has left, the one thing that can still generate the kind of money he needs, is his name, his face, his fists, the 50-0 record that he has protected more carefully than anything else in his life, which is exactly why he tried to call this an exhibition. Because if it's an exhibition, the record is safe. If it's an exhibition, he can take the money and walk away without risk. If it's an exhibition, Floyd Mayweather gets to keep the one thing he values above everything else, the illusion of invincibility. But Manny Pacquiao didn't sign up for an exhibition. Netflix didn't sign up for an exhibition. The Sphere in Las Vegas wasn't booked for an exhibition. And the contract, the signed, documented, legally binding contract, doesn't say exhibition. It says real fight. So where does this leave us? It leaves us with one of the most fascinating and uncomfortable stories in modern sports. A legend in financial freefall, trying to protect a legacy while the walls close in around him. A rematch that the entire boxing world wants to see, hanging in the balance because of a single word. A legal dispute with one of the most powerful entertainment companies on the planet. And a pattern of behavior that, when you lay it all out, tells a very clear story about who Floyd Mayweather really is. Not the image, not the brand, not the persona, but the man behind all of it. Teddy Atlas said it best. He said it's always sad to hear. It never becomes not sad. These athletes risk everything. They take the physical punishment. They dedicate their lives to their sport. And then, because of the sharks in the business, because of the lack of financial education, because of the people who weren't in their corner when it mattered, they lose it all. Floyd Mayweather is not a villain in this story. He's a cautionary tale. A man of extraordinary talent who was never given the tools to protect what he built. A man who confused the performance of wealth with actual wealth. A man who is now, at this stage of his life, fighting not for glory, not for legacy, not for love of the sport, but because the bills are due, and the only thing he knows how to do is fight. The question is whether this fight, this rematch with Pacquiao, this legal battle with Netflix, this very public unraveling of the Money Mayweather myth, will be the thing that finally forces Floyd to confront the reality he's been running from. Or whether he'll find a way to take the money, protect the record, and keep the illusion alive for just a little while longer. Knowing Floyd Mayweather, he's going to try. But this time the other side is ready, and they have the receipts. If you want to see more stories like this, the real stories behind the money, the power, and the people who have it, check out the videos suggested on your screen. And if you haven't already, hit that like button and subscribe. We're just getting started.